Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
Welcome to Mountaineer Advance. I'm Terry. This is Paul. Good to see you for another episode. We are loving to bring this to you. We're here today to give you a preview of the Iowa State game. West Virginia's playing here this Saturday.
November 5th, West Virginia travels to Iowa State
Iowa.
In Ames, Iowa, and faces an Iowa team that hasn't won a game in the Big 12.
Yep.
The Big 12.
Right.
The Cyclones last year were deemed to be contenders for the championship in the Big 12, but this year they lost their starting quarterback, their major running back, and some other seniors, and Matt Campbell, their coach, has had to replace a lot of key players. Some of those players that are remarkable that are coming back will include, they've got a couple of linemen on the offense, a guy 55, Daryl Simmons, and 52, Trevor Downing, should be watched because they're pretty good on the offensive line. Downing was a first team All Big 12
Yes.
and second team All American last year. So the offensive line's got some clout. They have a tight end on defense defensive end on defense, Will McDonald, number 9. He's had in the last 2 years 71 tackles, 26 for loss, 22 sacks, so he may be a problem.
You know, last year they had some really good football players that they've lost. And I think the game changer was Breece Hall, their running back, and he's gone.
Right.
Brock Purdy was quarterback there for 4 years, and
Right.
he's gone. They had a tight end, Charlie Kolar, who we used to make fun of a lot, but he was very good. They don't have those guys, and they're a completely separate, different team. But I say that, but they're still a good football team.
It's what happens when you peak. And if you peak, lots of times you have good people behind you, but they're not very experienced. Some other guys they told me to watch out for is number 34, their linebacker, named Vance. He's a big boy, 6'2", 260 for a linebacker. And Anthony Johnson, number 1, is a junior safety for them. But Hunter Deckers was a 4-star recruit quarterback who was learning behind Brock Purdy. He currently now has 215 completions in 320 attempts, so he's completing 67.2% of his passes. That includes 14 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
10 interceptions. Now that's big because Purdy did not give the ball up last year, and Hall didn't lose the ball. Deckers has been known to throw the ball to the other team.
Well, the story on them is they're not very good at running the ball. They will pass the ball. Deckers has then their key player, which is a receiver by the name of Xavier Hutchinson.
Maybe if not the best, one of the best receivers in the Big 12. Him, Quentin Johnson from TCU, and Xavier Worthy from Texas, I've been saying, are the 3 best receivers in the Big 12.
So watch out for number 8. Number 8 had an impressive 2020 catching the ball. He got better in 2021. He caught 83 passes last year for 987 yards and 5 touchdowns. He has nearly 2,000 yards in receiving in the last 2 seasons.
He's been hobbled a little bit this year, but he's still productive. So he's very, very good.
He caught a pass now in 33 straight games, which includes every single game of his career. And beginning this last Saturday, he was leading the nation with 9.6 receptions per game. So that's how they score. Let's talk about what they've done so far this year. Their schedule included Southeast Missouri State. They beat them 42-10. They played their cross-state rival Iowa, and they won that game 10-7. Iowa generally beats Iowa State, so I'm told.
Iowa's got no defense or no offense. Iowa's they've got a good defense but a bad offense. Yeah.
Then they played Ohio, and they beat them 43-10. So they ran up 42 and 43 points against their 2 easier games. Then they got into the Big 12 schedule, where they played number 17 Baylor. Baylor was 17 at the time. They lost 31-24.
You know that team we beat on Thursday night?
Yeah. Baylor scored on their first 3 possessions, and Iowa State only averaged 2.4 yards per rush in that game. They couldn't move the ball on the ground. They had 2 interceptions when they tried to go to the game up in the air, and in the last 7.5 minutes, they scored 10 points or else it's even more lopsided, and they lost an onside kick. So Baylor handled them pretty well. The next week they played Kansas. They lost that one 14-11.
This was such an odd game because Iowa State played their game. Kansas is the point producers, run it up and down the field, wanting to score every time. Iowa State's not that. Iowa State turned it into a tough fought, hard fought, field position, low scoring game, but they still didn't get it done.
Iowa State missed 3 field goals and lost the game 14-11. Deckers had an interception. Iowa State only rushed for 26 yards in this game. The
Against
whole game.
Kansas, Kansas. You can run the ball against
They
Kansas.
could have won this game. Kansas didn't score at all in the second half.
Yeah.
So they lost that one 14-11, and then they took on Kansas
And that was
State.
at Kansas, too. That's what's really strange. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
They took on Kansas State. They rushed for 78 yards instead of 26, but they only scored 9 points and lost 10-9 to Kansas State. Kansas State actually kicked a field goal with 7 minutes left to win the ball game. Their only other Kansas score was when it was nearly a sack and their quarterback heaved the ball downfield for an 81-yard touchdown.
Yeah. That was the only touchdown of the game.
Although Kansas State shot themselves in the foot because at one point they were running for a touchdown, fumbled the ball into the end zone, and Iowa State recovered it.
Again, Iowa State turned the game into the type of game that they could win against Kansas State, but did not accomplish it.
At that point, Iowa
like
State had scored 1 touchdown in their previous 20 possessions of the ball. So it's a low-scoring team. This is 6 games into the season. They go from Kansas State to Texas and shocked Texas. In fact, Texas was trailing 17-14 in the fourth quarter. And this is a ranked 22 in the nation at that point. This is October 15th. Hutchinson, their number 8, actually dropped a ball on the 9-yard line of Texas. Had he caught that, Iowa State would have knocked off Texas and win that ball game.
That was a really well played game. I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say they turned the Texas game into the kind of game that they can win. Strong defense, not a lot of points, value every possession. That's the way Iowa State beats people. But they still couldn't win those last 3 games.
They also had a controversial call in that Texas game where the Iowa State quarterback fumbled the ball, and it was reviewed to see whether or not Texas had targeted him and to see whether or not he had his knee down before he fumbled. Both reviews went against Iowa State.
And I watched it, and I thought his knee was down, and I thought it was targeting. But, they didn't
reverse that.
It was the same officials that did our game last week, by the way.
Last week's officials didn't call anything. They were pretty bad. Now, I don't grumble about officials.
Yeah, I don't like to do that
either,
but they were consistently bad. Yeah.
Also in that Texas game, Decker threw another interception just as Iowa State was about to score. So this is another game where Iowa State could easily have knocked off a ranked team, and it was just a play or two made the difference. They're ranked now at that point 104th in scoring offense. They don't score.
They don't score.
And they failed to get a touchdown at that point on 18 straight possessions in the previous game. Although in the Texas game, they were 9 of 15 on third down conversions, and they do go for it on fourth down.
Mm-hmm. Matt Campbell's a good coach. I think the world of him. I think he's a great coach, but they don't have any offensive firepower this year is what it looks like.
It's certainly a low, but they keep you from scoring as well.
Yes.
So it's not a light up the scoreboard. It's not a hair on fire flag ball game.
That's his MO. That's the way he's done it.
Now after that, they went to play Oklahoma. They lost to Oklahoma 27-13. Another low-scoring game. Oklahoma had 3 interceptions in that game. They used a fake field goal to score their first touchdown against Iowa State.
That was cool, too, because the holder pitched it to the kicker. The kicker ran it in, but anyway.
So Oklahoma didn't treat them like they were the bottom of the conference. They treated them like we're going to get a score any way we can get it. That was Iowa State's 5th straight loss, and 4 of those losses were by a combined 14 points. So all you need is a special team mistake, an interception, a fumble, and these guys have the score they need to beat you.
The way I'll assess it is that their offense is not real good, but our defense is not real good. Our offense is pretty good, but their defense is pretty good too. So it's kind of it's going to be an interesting. It's interesting. Special teams will probably make the difference in this game.
In the Oklahoma game, again, Iowa State averaged 2.4 yards per carry. In the first 18 rushes, they averaged 1.6 yards per carry. So they, at least against Oklahoma and against some of these other teams, they can't run the ball very well. Their offensive line's not open.
And it's funny because they just talked about their two offensive linemen. One was a second-team All-American, but they're just not able to run the ball.
They're not running the ball. Plus, they threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They had gotten to 20-13 against Oklahoma and threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. So what we need to do, if we're the formula to beat them, is to intercept the ball, stop the run, and intercept the pass. That's pretty simple.
Get the ball.
So they're 3-5 with all 5 losses in conference, and they're favored against West Virginia by 7 points.
We're ahead of them in the conference. Well, at least we've won a game in the conference. They haven't even won a game in the conference. But they are favored. They are at home. It is in Ames, and I don't know that we've ever won there.
You would give them 3 points for being at home. They gave them 7.
I don't think we've ever beat them. Well, they just think they're a better team because they've played better against better opponents. Maybe, I don't know.
If you're a nerd,
I'm not a
the
spread
ESPN guy. SP Plus rankings have Iowa State as the highest ranked team that has a losing record. They're ranked 42nd. West Virginia's ranked 65th. They're bad in the red zone. They don't score a lot of points, but our secondary is weak, and we give up long touchdowns in our secondary.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They believe, have been on their boards, they believe they have to force turnovers because they expect their team to turn it over 1 or 2 times a game, and they don't force many turnovers. The forecast is for rain. If it is raining, teams have to run more than pass, and they're not good in a running game. I think if our receivers have a good day, we win the ball game.
We got a really legitimate chance to win the game. Special teams maybe has got to come up big. I think if it's close at the end, I think they will make a bigger mistake than we will. How about that? Because they're making more large mistakes to lose games than we are.
The next part of my prediction is more heart than brains, but I think whatever the over-under is, take the over, and 7 points is too much to favor them. If they beat anybody, they're not going to beat anybody by more than 2 or 3 points. So I think West Virginia covers, and I think we're over, and I think our receivers do have a good day.
I'm going to disagree with you, not on the cover, and I'm going to disagree on the over-under. I don't think there's many points.
I don't know what it is. If they put the over-under, first of all, if West Virginia gets 4 scores, if we get 24 points, we beat them. So I don't know what their over-under is, and they're coming up to game time, but they shouldn't be favored by 7 points. They should be favored by 3 or 4 points. They
50.
shouldn't be favored.
50, according to what I see.
Well, 50 is high enough. I don't know that I would say
don't think 50 points are going to be scored, but I
bow back off on that. But
that's a very low over/under.
It is a low over and under. But at the beginning, you're talking about a team that 27-13, 24-21, 10-9, 14-11, 31-24. Only one of the games went over 50, and that was the Baylor game.
Well, if it ends up 27-24, then you're 51.
Right.
I mean, I guess Oklahoma was 27-14. Well,
no, it's 27-13.
Yeah,
None of them went over 50 except Baylor.
So yeah, I'm an under.
They think we're going to light up the scoreboard.
I don't see it. They might, because with our defensive secondary, but we'll see. I'll tell you what.
We'll score 4 scores, and we'll beat them by a score.
You said about Hutchinson. Why don't we just focus on stopping him and make somebody else beat us? That would be a good thing. I'd really like to see that. Don't let 8 catch the ball. That's my goal. Don't play a lot of exotic stuff to try to stop all this stuff. Just don't let 8 catch the ball. How about that? Let's try that.
And then when the ball's in the air, go get it.
Well,
it's your ball. It's yours. Go get it.
There is that. I agree with you. I think we've got every chance to win, and I think if it does come down to it close, I think they're more likely to make a mistake to lose the game than we will.
They're used to losing.
But
I hope
we
haven't.
No, you have not played well on the road, and I know you don't think that makes a difference, but we have not played well on the road other than the Pitt game. So.
Well, we're about to start a 4-game winning streak.
I'm with you. You know, we're into November. We went through that October of Texas. We played 4 Texas teams. We beat one of them in Baylor, and we lost to the other 3. Now we got 2 Oklahomas, a Kansas, and an Iowa team, and I think we can win 3 of them.
I think we can win all 4.
But there's a potential to win all 4 of them.
Yeah, we need to win at least 3, and I think we can win all 4. So tune in. We'll be back after the game's over to give you the wrap-up. And remember, Mountaineers don't give up. Don't give up.
Never,
don't
ever
give up.
It's like Jimmy V. Never, ever give up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.